Welcome back. It is Nerd Church Season 3, and we are rolling into our second episode. When we left off last time, the party, having returned to the city, spent some time researching and exploring, and some of the discoveries that took place, though minimal. We discovered that Pando and Freya don't make great library researchers. We discovered that Air and Potom have a lot of fun when they wander the city, but they don't always achieve their goals. But in the end, your group did manage to do a couple things. So, one, you came to, I think, a decision that you were going to be leaving the city and heading for the College of Magic, the Maib Sahir. You made contact through a middle person, an information broker, with the local Yokogawai cell, a representative of which you paid to have meet you at the Blasted Seagull. And you also learned that Morana, the merchant, has regular caravans that head up to the Maib Sahir, and that one of those is leaving tomorrow. So where we left off, you had sort of tentatively decided that you were going to stay in town long enough to meet with this Yokogawai contact and then join this merchant caravan heading up to the Maib Sahir in an effort to do some deeper research on the Upido issue and also potentially talk to a professor of divinity who may or may not be able to help you with the tracking spell that has been placed on two of your party. I think that's a pretty fair summary of where we left off last time. So, it's called the Maib Sahir. So it's M-A apostrophe I-B, Maib, or school, and Sahir, S-A-H-I-R. It essentially means School of Magic. So where we pick up today, it is the morning after your day about town. And the caravan is not scheduled to leave until the following morning. So you've got basically a day to kill here. We don't have to necessarily role play out a whole day. If there's things you want to accomplish aside from meeting this Yokogawai contact, we can certainly do that. But if you just want to meet this contact, that will happen in the evening tonight. At the Blasted Seagull, you were told to find your contact in the common room around the dinner hour. But if there's other things you want to do, you can do them at this time. Mm-hmm. Oh, right. I do remember now. I like his backstory. Yeah. The love of your life. I'm not sure I'm not sure I recorded his name. Oh, no. Really? I'm surprised we didn't big deal. Yeah, we did make a new one. We did talk about it for a bit. What nickname you have for him? Wait, where did we run into this guy, or was this just sort of like, oh, I know a person?
Did you run into him? Did you run into him explicitly?
I don't know that you ran into him. I feel like it was
This was like an
you just
impromptu.
created an
Yeah.
impromptu. You were talking about why you spoke Minotaur.
Yeah,
That's what it
right.
was. Yeah. Yeah. So this guy's not like,
That's what I thought.
yeah, this guy's not like wandering around Nantong necessarily. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You were in the library, and like Pando asked why you speak Minotaur, and you were like, well,
Let me tell you. There's this diplomat. This diplomat's son.
summer lovin'.
Or to be, yeah. Or at the Capitol or something. I do remember something about how we had some bead on him or something that you would. Is it the
Ooh,
Capitol? It's like the
actually, you know
Capitol?
what? I'll tell you his name. I know what his name is.
What is his name?
His name is Tarian Vega. Tarian.
Cool name.
Is a cool name. Last name Vega. Vega. Tarian Vega is currently based in the capital. Capital is back on the
Yeah.
islands. Yeah. The capital of the empire. Yep. His diplomatic career has been fairly successful.
Oh yeah, he would be a good friend. We could always use more friends.
Yep.
And it also doesn't mean that he's not in Nantong. He could be. Let's look him up.
And who knows?
We'll ask our Okugawa contacts. Who knows? They might know.
Right.
Certainly.
Tonight.
This evening. Yeah.
Hmm.
All right. So should we jump ahead to that, or is there anything anybody wants to do with your day?
I don't think I have. I don't have any errands or anything. We talked to Marana. I don't. What do you think, Alex? Do you have any errands?
I mean, other than Bottom reading his book, trying to clock a couple of hours off, that's all he's got.
Yeah. All right. Well, then if we're just kind of hanging, I'm gonna add a day to your clock, to our Upido clock.
Mhm.
Yeah. So here's a fun mechanic that I've added for this plot arc that we've started. That's fun. So I've been doing some writing about what Upido's up to, and I put it on a timeline. And so you all are now your gameplay will directly impact what Upido's like if and when you
Sure.
encounter her.
So there's a little more mechanic bite behind that sense of urgency.
Yeah, I just built a mechanic to help. So like, instead of I've been playing with this idea for a while, which I think is kind of fun. So instead of just like making some big milestone interaction in my head for whenever you get around to it, right? Like in a video game, whenever you get to Hyrule Castle, there's Ganondorf, and he is the same Ganondorf that you would face if you showed up right now or showed up 12 weeks from now. That's not how Upido works. So she is an active big bad, and she's doing stuff and rebuilding her self and her power base and trying to get back to her mission and accomplish things. So you're on day 6. This is day 6 since her release. So that's just out of game. Good for you guys to be aware of. That I have a running clock, and so I'll remind you every once in a while of how many days it's been since she got out. All right, so you kill a day, Alex. You can knock 8 hours off of your book progress. And come the evening, you all head down to the common room at the Blasted Seagull. I think we agreed you weren't staying at the Blasted Seagull. I think you were. There was some other one, the Wobbly Turn or the Blitzed Albatross, or yeah, what other, some other seabird combined with an adjective. But you wander over to the Blasted Seagull, which is similar to the place you've been staying, but perhaps a little divier, perhaps a little seedier. That's good. These are all good. I think each district of town has some version of this. As you walk in to the Blasted Seagull, it's pretty busy. It's a dinner rush. There are servers bustling about, carrying trays laden with big minotaur-sized tankards of ale and platters of spiced potatoes, and all kinds of nice smells fill the air. You walk into the room and you kind of case the joint, and why don't you each make a perception check for me?
Double goose egg. By that I mean 8.
Snowman.
Snowman.
No worries. And if you need,
we have
if
physical
you
dice,
need
too.
physical dice,
Might even be easier. I also have issues with the
21.
21's quite good. I use a different dice app in case anybody ever, like, I know having D&D Beyond open is nice, but 15? All right. So I think Freya and Air, you walk in and the chaos of the room, it doesn't appear obvious to you at a glance where you need to be or who this contact is. But Potom, you catch sight of someone. Maybe it's just that you're at the right angle, or who knows. But across the room, you see a shadowed booth in the corner where a cloaked figure sits, smoking a long, thin pipe. And as he takes a pull on the pipe, the glow from the embers in the bowl illuminate his face, his lightly bearded face, and he just makes brief eye contact with you and gives a small nod.
Friends, I think we're over here.
All right, you wander over, and there is this is an individual occupying a booth with space for more. It's probably the most isolated booth in the place, and so when you arrive, he sort of gestures with the pipe that you are welcome to take a seat. It appears that way.
Yeah, well, yeah, I paid for him to be here.
That's right. Yep. So once you all sit, he kind of makes eye contact with each of you in turn, puts his cloak back, and you see that this is a sort of a ruddy-skinned half-elf with a kind of a 5 o'clock shadow level beard, sort of salt and pepper, a little weathered around the eyes, and he looks at each of you in turn, as I said, and he says, "Good evening. I am Mikhail. You requested my presence. What can I do for you?"
Yeah, we we just might need some insurances. We are a party that's that is familiar with the with your organization, and we might have shared acquaintances in Chakip. Just to drop our credentials a bit.
Okay.
I guess what Bottom does is that he just kind of explains who they are, alludes to knowing the same people and keep trying to keep names and things, kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge as much as possible, and ultimately asks for help if need be.
Let's get past the does this person trust you stage first before you get to the asking.
Okay.
So if you're not literally saying people's names, you're just saying we know people in Chukip and we are familiar with your organization. That's the opening gambit here.
Yeah.
Okay. Make a persuasion check.
This is my cat's. It's my cat's butt.
That is your cat's butt. How are you aiding? Okay.
Yeah.
Are either of you saying the name of the organization, or are you dancing around this?
No, I think that's the one thing that Bottom does say out loud.
So you're gonna say you're gonna say Yokogawa.
Yeah, but in a whispered whisper.
Sure. I didn't think you were gonna scream it out across the bar.
I'm here with the local Yokogawa, everyone.
Yeah.
And then Air at the same when he said enemies of the Empire, he does previously and flashes
Okay. All right, then make your persuasion check at advantage.
Do persuasion. An 8's not going to do, or a 7's not going to do it.
That's why you got advantage.
But a 15 might.
All right. So with a 15, Mikhail, at first, when you say the word Yokogawa, tenses a bit. But as Air flashes these badges, he sort of leans in a bit to get a closer look, and you can kind of tell the moment that he judges them to be authentic.
Blood's still on
them. Yeah, they're a pretty good trophy. And he looks back up at you both and says, well, I don't know anyone in Chukip. That's very far away. However, I am aware that our organization spans a little further than our little operation here. We've heard tell of a broader movement, and if you hail from a brother cell, we probably have things to talk about. However, if you are a part of our movement, you understand that discretion is literally the definition of whether we live or die. And so you'll understand if I ask for some further evidence that we should trust you. We have been burned before. You were involved in the action north of Featherwand, were you?
Yeah. We watched.
Yeah, maybe we should have gone a little better.
Way better.
That
To put it lightly.
that brought a fair amount of heat to this part of the world.
Unavoidable, unfortunately.
Well, if we are going to accomplish the mission of this grand movement, there will be a lot more heat. So I don't begrudge the outcome, but I do hope that the Empire felt it. We heard tell a bit of the action up in that area from a traveling contact of the Yokogawai, a bard who visits us from time to time to bring us news of other cells. You guys
Wasn't a green dragon.
do know a bard. You know
Most of the
a guy named Les Moonsliver
Oh,
who was leading that little band.
right.
Uh,
Yeah.
We do
Oh, the guy.
know Les.
yeah.
Real good friend.
Yeah, Les Moonsliver. Upon dropping, if you drop Les Moonsliver's name,
Les. We go
call him Les. He says,
Because
"Oh,
that's how much he wins.
well, if you've met Les, then I'm sure you've heard his clever catchphrase. His delightful catchphrase that's definitely catching on among all the listeners who are
This is
demanding
why we need Courtney here.
who are
Oh my god.
demanding an encore, more or less in the episodes. They say,
We,
"No, I'm just kidding. That's not what he demands." But as a DM, I did consider making that the test.
What was the catchphrase?
A less is more.
Oh, that was.
Yeah, less is more. All right. So I think at this point, he says, it is not only our duty, but it is an honor to welcome other members of this small brotherhood, and we will help you if we can. However, you should understand that everything we do here has a price, and though we are your allies, certainly, in the cause, if we are to help you, it cannot be out of charity. We have many operations and many agents at risk right now. Resources are
we would be
thin.
happy to make a donation to your cause.
Tell me more about what it is you require.
We might need to be secreted out of the city.
Had a short notice and discreetly.
Okay. Well, that's something we are actually quite good at.
How do we get the right guy?
Yeah, well, we have made a habit of removing individuals from the city when the heat gets a little too hot. For example, there are a few sympathizers. We don't have a safe house. We do have a safe path out of the city. And all I'll say for now is that it is quite secure. It has, as of yet, never been discovered. And it's uncomfortable. Oh, you'll fit. It's not a tight spaces situation. Just very few people have had the experience of listen, we don't need to get into it, but what I'll say is this: with about 20 minutes notice, we could get your group, if this is everybody. Is this everybody? Yeah, Panda's here. I assume you don't have gear or mounts or wagons or something crazy.
Nothing we can't leave behind.
Okay. Yep. I mean, we could get with 20 minutes notice. I could get.
Well, I mean, there is a automaton that we'll be coming with, so it's technically like me and a piece of equipment. I have one carry on.
Okay.
It actually carries me on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does it carry on?
Yeah. Does that thing breathe air?
No,
Oh, okay. Well, then that won't be a big
but
issue.
it's like a piece of gear.
Yeah. Fair. Anyway, we can, with about 20 minutes notice, we can get you either a mile out of town into the wilderness or several miles upstream or downstream, I should say, on the river, or on a boat headed out to sea. All three options are available. The boat out to sea costs a little more because obviously we have to hire a captain and pay him to not ask about what when you suddenly appear on board. Dropping you in the wilderness is cheapest, and traveling downriver is sort of in the middle because again we're usually putting you on a boat or a raft, local fishermen. We have some pretty good relationships there. So those are the options I can present to you.
Can we prepay and make a decision on which one later, or do we have to make a decision on which way now?
No. You could prepay. You could. Hi, buddy. You could prepay definitely, and we'll just be at the ready. Or when you come running in for help, you can throw us a sack of gold, and we can figure it out.
I think that I mean, laying down a deposit of some sort is always a smart idea. Knowing us and money.
Sure. Well, if you want to be prepared for all three options, I would ask you to make a. I would ask you to let me hold on to 200 gold pieces. If you're not worried about going to sea, I would ask you to let me hold on to 100 gold pieces.
Yeah.
She's good for it.
She's good for it.
She loves.
We
controlling.
also have one other complication.
Do tell.
Two of our party might need a tracker removed.
A tracking spell, a tracking charm or hex or something.
Well, need you to see more about that.
But
Well,
I'll give him the brief version of we've got two of our members are being tracked by the
local authorities.
the church folk.
I know you have a complicated relationship with them.
Holy shit, she's got a shitload of money.
Yeah, what are you guys on my case about money for?
8 and 500
Whoa, what the?
So either she's wildly inaccurate with her tracking, or she's been hoarding all your gold.
What the heck? You guys are on my case.
She just paid 50.
I mean, we're not technically looking at our score sheet
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah, so he says, I don't know that we have the capability to help you with that. Kind of sounds like you'd need some kind of hedge witch or priest, or I don't know. I mean, have you considered hitting up Morana's? Maybe he's got like a dispel magic scroll or something.
He has no help.
I think that we'll. I think we'll get it taken care of.
You know what? Never
Yeah.
mind. You know what? Thanks for the
I mean, he's not.
Ah,
They can only do what they can do. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You asked him for a good way out of town.
Fair
He's
enough.
like, yeah, I got 3 options, and they're
Yeah.
all really good, and they've never had. And then you're like, and also remove this curse from me. Like,
Yeah.
Googling
Who
it.
knows? It could have been one-stop shopping.
it's
It
like
doesn't
you,
hurt to ask.
he's not a hotel concierge. He's an Uber driver.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, no, he's a terrorist.
Well, yes.
So I mean, who
Depending
knows
on
what he
your
does?
Freedom fighter. What are you
freedom
talking
fighter,
about? Yeah, what are you
it
talking
really
about?
depends on your perspective. Okay, he takes your gold and he says, should you need us urgently, which it sounds like you would, at the exit gate heading towards the docks. So if you remember, Nantong, the city proper, the walled city proper, is set about a mile north of the actual docks. So there's like a road that leads from the docks up to the city proper, and there's like a mile gap in between the two. So think like an old timey fantasy version of like the Denver airport. If you've ever flown into Denver and then you're like, now let's go to the city of Denver. Oh, I guess we're gonna drive for 45 minutes through the plains.
Yeah, in the weirdly flat.
Yeah, yeah. They just like built it way the f out there, and then they built
Yeah.
a toll road to get to it. It's kind of like that, except not as ridiculous.
And
Not associated with the cult in any
Illuminati
way.
and stuff,
Yeah, not like Denver.
Denver
So, what he says is basically he tells you that the gate that leads out of the city towards the docks, that main gate,
Right.
from the city side, inside the city walls, there is a guardhouse on the east side of the gate. And he said that guardhouse has, it's essentially like a, you ever seen houses that have like a built-in mailbox
Yeah,
where it's
mine
like a little door? Oh, does yours have one of those?
Yeah.
Where it's like a little door?
It has a chute.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And another door.
So you're going to open that and you'll see a little string inside, and you tug on the string. That will ring a bell, and very quickly someone will come and take you where you need to go. He said, that's it. Like, that's how you get us. Somebody's always manning that signal, and they will very quickly find you and take you to where you need to be. I dig it. I always thought those are really neat. The neighbors across the street have one of those, and it's big enough that you can like, we've like put, when the gal who used to live there was an older lady who lived alone, you can like put whole meals in
Oh,
it.
dang.
Yeah. It was like bread box size. Yeah, it was cool. Open on the inside. Yeah, it was cute. Anyway, so now you've established a relationship with the local Yokogawa. You've got a deposit down for a quick escape method should you need it, and you know how to ring the bell and get the hell out of Dodge.
Perfect.
Okay, so at this point you're heading back and bedding down. Okay.
Okay.
Mikhail?
Mikhail?
Vega.
Yeah. The Vega family.
That name is familiar, but I don't know of any Tarian Vega in the local government. No, I'm sorry. No, it doesn't. All right, so you head back to your inn and settle in for the evening. Alex, you doing a long rest tonight, or are you burning the midnight oil?
Okay, so here's the question. A risk reward. If I read all night long, how many hours are you gonna give me?
8.
Sweet. Then I get a point of exhaustion for reading all night long.
That's right.
We're gonna do that because I'm gonna finish this tonight.
Nice. All right. So as the sun rises in Nantong and the ever-present morning smells of the numerous bakeries scattered around the city start wafting through the streets, you all rise and start your morning rituals, whether that's exercise or meditation or a hearty breakfast. And Padam is about this time, as you hear the city coming to life, that you turn the final page of this book, and a number of concepts that you were wrestling with in this final chapter seem to sort of snap into place in your mind. And it's as if things you've been seeking for the last 50 years of your life have suddenly crystallized. Like a combination of your life experience has sort of blended with this new learning, things that you wondered if they were possible when you first kind of started your academic exploration now seem obvious and not trivial, but they just seem so clear, right? That you wonder how you could have ever questioned them to begin with. And there is a moment for you, I think. And in fact, I want you to make a wisdom saving throw. Because there's a moment where this clicks into place for you and you are staggered by your new understanding of the universe. Where like, that mental exercise that some people do where they're like they start to zoom out and like to understand how big the solar system really is, and then the galaxy and then the universe, and people are like, oh, I can't, my brain can't do it. Like that happens in your brain at the end of this book.
So would this be a wisdom saving throw against magic?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
It's against your own brain.
Got it. 12.
Okay. So you don't take any psychic damage here, but I do think there's like a period of recovery that's required of you after you finish this book. I think you lay there, I think you flop back on your bed and stare at the ceiling for like an hour, just kind of in a daze, sorting through the thoughts and kind of coming to grips with how truly tiny and insignificant you are in the universe, and yet so powerful relative to anyone who doesn't understand what you understand now. And
Sure.
And it's a little heady and also at the same time like really humbling. And you your intelligence increases permanently. Yeah. And it is by 2, which is like a lot. That's a big change.
I'm now at 22 for intelligence.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's pretty bonkers. Um,
You may.
I mean, it is. He's definitely operating at like genius level intelligence. Like savant, idiot savant level, like doing. He's your little Rain Man. Also, when you finally like sit up, having recovered from the realization here, the book is gone.
Oof.
Yep.
All right.
It is no longer in your room.
I think I'm gonna go and join the others at breakfast with just kind of, grab things in a far away sort of state that I'm in. Just kind of, sit down and act like I'm part of the conversation, but really just lost in my own wonderment.
Hello, fellow adventurers.
Yeah. I like it.
He scoops himself 4 scoopfuls of eggs and then doesn't touch it at all, so it's sitting in front of him.
Just keeps falling off the fork because he forgets that he's bringing the fork to his mouth. Yeah. All right. So the party circles up. You have some breakfast, and you know that the caravan from Marana's is going to be rolling out fairly soon. So if you're going to join it, you would want to head over to his shop not long after sunrise. They're about an 8 a.m. departure was the target. So all right. Yeah, fair. What?
Are you that?
Bottom still just isn't paying attention.
All right, you arrive at Morana's. All morning, by the way, Asmund Kimba is muttering in your head about how soon you need to return to the homeland and reclaim your rightful place as the glorious leader of the Kimba Tool. That's kind of his running monologue today. Sure. The only variation you get from this sort of monotone mumbling is that occasionally he instead of just telling you to go reclaim glorious leadership, he seems to mumble to himself, "We will lead together." That's about it. That's about it. It's just sort of on a loop. All right, you meet up outside of Marana's where 4 wagons, pretty big covered wagons, are loaded up and getting ready to roll out. Each wagon has a driver. It also has I think I'd describe them as a porter. So somebody who's clearly a sort of slightly better dressed, slightly more professional looking staffer who works for Morana and is sort of fussily overseeing all of these items and double checking the inventory list and the bill of lading and all of that, making sure everything is strapped down properly. Marana is sort of pacing up and down between the 4, calling out reminders, and then he turns to sort of a mousy looking elf and signs a couple of sheafs of paper and then turns to all of you and sort of gives a wave as you head in his direction. Standing around the outside edges of all of these, there are 6 very well armored and well armed, what are obviously caravan guards. 4 of them are equipped with high quality half plate swords, shields, and these don't look shiny and new, they look well worn. And the other 2 are in sort of a banded mail, so a combination of leather and metal in sort of strips, a little lighter than the half plate. These folks have heavy crossbows strapped to their backs and short swords at their waists. And all 6 of those individuals are sort of standing at the perimeter, and even here in the middle of town seem to be keeping a pretty sharp eye out for any potential trouble.
Maybe. Air would like to ask Verona if he offhandedly has any scrolls, potions, trinkets, the like, for removing tracking hexes, spells, curses.
Yeah.
So if you'll recall, this was
Maybe that's more-
you asked him
Oh,
last
okay.
time.
I asked him if anything's changed. Has he updated his anything
No, my friend, not since yesterday.
Well, thanks for the update.
I'm happy, always happy to be of service.
Yeah, an intelligence report.
No. In fact, the question seems to surprise him a bit. No, my dear. In fact,
Are you expecting?
as I told you a day ago, this route is typically quite simple and boring, and I pay all of these folks a goodly sum to make sure that it stays that way. And he calls over to one of the guards who looks just a little bit older than the rest. He says, Captain, any risks or untoward rumors that you're keeping an ear on before this trip? And the guy calls back, no, sir. Everything we have heard seems to be smooth sailing, but we are always on our guard, as you know.
Now that she's a little bit of information, Air would like to know if these are just 6 blokes or if they're of a well-regarded mercenary faction.
Okay.
Guild or something. Do they look like they're organized? They have some kind of singlets.
I think you can make. Let's see.
Do they have funny hats?
You can make. Are you well? Here, let me ask this, because I want to figure out what you need to roll for this.
Sure.
Is Air like combing her memory to see if she recognizes anything that where she's like, oh, I know about mercenary companies, and I've spotted this, and I know that is this mercenary company. Like, is it that, or is it more like she's looking for telltale signs that they're part of something organized, and you might not know what it is necessarily, but like you're trying to spot, or are they literally just hired dudes off the street? Like, what's the information you're trying to get?
I mean, she knows the mercenary faction. Still, that'd be awesome. I think they're just degrees of the same thing, right?
I think what I'll do is we'll make it a 2-part roll. I'm only going to have you roll a history check if you roll well enough on the first check. So make an investigation check.
Sure. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Nat 20.
That's
Alright.
pretty
Wasted a
good.
nat 20.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm sure you won't possibly need that on the journey to
It's a very boring,
very boring routine journey, low
Yeah,
risk.
no, it keeps being reiterated how long and boring.
It's really simple. Yeah, so you kind of case this group, and there's some pretty obvious signs that they are organized. So first and foremost, they're not quite in a uniform, but their gear is clearly uniform. It is the same, right? So
Issued armor.
yeah, this is from some common source, right? They didn't. If it was 6 random blokes, they wouldn't have the archers wouldn't have matching banded mail, and so on. So that's number one, and then number two, you see that each of them has tucked into some part of their armor a small red feather, which you don't recognize. It's not a bird that you're like instantly familiar with, but it's clearly a differentiating marker. It's not a large feather, probably maybe 3 inches long, and it is bright, vibrant red, like this color red,
Okay.
with horizontal black stripes near the tip. And it is each of them, you just pick up that each of them has it tucked into their armor somewhere in a place where it wouldn't easily come out. And so
Look really great next to my herpes.
probably would. If you'd like to roll a history check to see if
Yes,
you
I would like to.
know of this group, you certainly can.
10. I thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah. Um,
It's better than
yeah, I mean, you're not from here, is what it comes down to. So unless this was like a globe-trotting, very famous mercenary company, you probably weren't. Yeah, I mean, you're very far from home, is what
Okay,
it comes down
okay.
to. You don't recognize them.
Alrighty. Well, maybe I'll ask him
Maybe I'll come up with a name later.
later.
Um,
on the toe.
yeah. Roll better, and then I'll come up with something. I'll tell you later. All right. The paperwork is wrapped up. Marana turns to you and says, well, I've signed my life away once again for insurance. I've paid my guards. All of my staff have confirmed the bills of lading. It's time for this very profitable, I hope, caravan to roll out, and for all of you to have a safe journey. Well, who knows? Yeah, the wagon drivers all kind of crack their reins, and the oxen start trundling out of the city, heading out the north gate onto the road. And I assume y'all are riding your crickets alongside.
Yep.
Um,
I'm going to ask Freya to lead my cricket for me, so that I can crawl into the basket and have a nap.
there you go. Yep. Yeah, that's not hard to do because this caravan is not moving fast. So if you were looking to travel at speed, this ain't it. This is safety and boredom, but this caravan is traveling about half the speed you would travel alone on your crickets.
He's not
Well, he's not coming.
Oh,
Yep, he's staying behind. And wagon drivers
Yeah,
and porters.
How many wagons?
4 wagons.
4 wagons.
4 wagons, 4 drivers,
porters.
4 porters, 6 armed guards. So a pretty good sized troop, plus you guys, is heading north on the road. Yeah,
10 armed.
I wouldn't mess with you.
No, I wouldn't mess with us.
Okay,
That's
so
why I feel so comfortable going to sleepy sleep. Can I take a long rest?
yeah, if you want to take a long rest during the first day of travel, during the
Yeah,
day,
that's-
you're welcome to do that. Okay, so we're going to do some rolls. First, why don't, well, is anybody keeping watch or are you leaving it to the guards?
I trust those,
Those yahoos.
those yahoos.
Um,
Have we stopped?
well, we're gonna do the whole day of travel. We're gonna do some
Okay.
rolls for the whole day of travel. All right, so it sounds like Air is going to be kind of keeping an eye out.
Everything's just an insurance scheme that Airman is designed to be.
All right, I like it. So you can roll a perception check. Pottom's sleeping, so no rolls for you.
Mhm.
Freya, why don't you roll for our just luck roll for our day of travel?
Well,
5, okay.
perception is
4, solid.
so it sounds like something. Not the greenest rolls.
Well, I think I think this makes a lot of sense because
Hey, we're not being paid. Yeah,
No.
yeah, we're just.
the
We give them
re-
an opportunity to pay us.
I think the reason that your perception roll is that your perception is so challenged
Right.
is that very early in the day on your first day of travel, thick, dark clouds roll in, and a pretty serious thunderstorm hits while you're on the road.
Okay.
Trying to remember where in the calendar year we are. It was summertime, right? So this is a late summer storm, I think, that you're heading into, and it is, yeah, it's fierce and violent. It's not enough to stop the caravan from traveling, but it is not pleasant travel, and it is slow. The road, the ruts in the road get a little muddy. The wagons have to stop from time to time and get levered out of places where the wheels get stuck. Uh, and visibility is minimal. There you can't see. Nobody can, excuse me, can see very far. However, after a full day's journey, you haven't made it very far, but you didn't encounter any danger. And at a certain point, one of the porters stands up and yells back, "This is too much. We need to set up camp before it gets dark." And they circle the wagons, and the mercenary company starts rapidly and efficiently assembling a camp. What they actually do is they set up they have a big, broad, but very thin tarp that they set up and stretch between all the wagons. So they basically turn the 4 wagons into 4 walls and stretch a tarp across the top of them and turn it all into one big tent. And they post guards in between the wagons, and the archers pull the unfortunate duty of sitting up top, one in each direction, covered in a tarp of their own, looking out into the pouring rain. The wagon drivers and the porters sit around the fire in the center, and they offer for you to join them and dine with them. So you're welcome to dry off and hang out with them.
Cool. Aaron wants to, talk shop
Okay,
with the guards.
sure. Tell me how that starts.
She sits down casually and she asks, is this your first time guarding a caravan for Marana?
Who
Let
are
me
you?
distract you from your one job.
Who are you?
I thought we were all eating. I thought
Yeah.
we were all, yeah.
Well, the guards are not eating yet.
Oh, I'm
so-
eating then now.
Yeah. So the guards are posted. The guards are
All 6 of us?
all 6 guards are keeping watch. It's the porters and the wagon drivers that are around the fire right now, making dinner and eating and relaxing.
Oh, fine. I'll talk to the porters.
Okay.
You've been employed with Marana for long?
Yeah. So one of them says, well, yes. It's been not my life's work, but I have been in the service of Master Marana since I was a mere apprentice, just out of school. I was always good with numbers as a child, and Master Marana recognized that strength in me and put me to work cataloging some of his wares. I've always had an eye for quality as well, which led me to this leadership position. Truly, it is the apex of my career.
Is this your typical job? Is it being caravans, or is this a subset of your duties?
Yes, well. As one of the more senior members of Master Morana's staff, I do not always accompany the wagon train. However, Master Morana requested that I be present on this journey because we have some rather interesting items making the journey to the Maib this time. And I will be needed to oversee the negotiations and verification of the authenticity for our buyers.
Wow, if he asked you to be involved in this particular journey, this must be quite amazing item.
Yes. Fascinating relics from ancient times.
Sure.
And they have been an area of particular study for me. Well, I don't like to toot my own horn, but
It's so tall.
yes, well, 5'7.5". Yes. And I don't wear lifts. No matter what. No. Yes. Very interesting items of antiquity. Perhaps not of the magical potency of some of the items that Master Morana peddles in, but for the right buyer, and there are some true academics at the Maib, items of fascinating value. Good talk. Good talk.
So rarely in the presence of
Make a persuasion check at advantage as you butter this dude up.
There's pouring more wine.
Yeah. Oh yes. Well, indeed. Right this way. Have a seat next to the fire, and I shall tell you more. Yeah. So this guy, I think, pins Freya down for a good 2 hours, and basically works through his like senior thesis that never got published. And you learn a lot about things that may or may not be useful, but you learn a lot. So in this shipment, there are a number of documents that were recovered from what is believed to be early Minotaur society, post-quickening. So there are some writings from some of the founders of the Synod. There are some treatises written by early Minotaur philosophers about the concepts that would at some point evolve into what's the word? Yeah, I'm trying to remember what the word Oshira. Yeah, the concept of the global family.
Anything about
Upito.
No, you don't hear anything about Upito from him. You do pick up. I will give you. There are a couple little interesting tidbits that come out of his very long rambling. One is that the some of what he has researched and some of the documents and things he's carrying um, hint at the idea that the wastes were not always the wastes. That something happened to that land, that landscape, that or sorry, the wound is what we've been calling it. That something happened to that landscape to turn it into the sort of wasteland it is now, and that prior to that, it was a wilderness of great beauty and bounty. The other thing that you get is a little bit of information about the Maib. So you learn that the dean.
Ooh,
Oops. No,
oh,
that.
don't look
Sorry.
at
No, that. Don't worry about that. That's literally an accident. It was. Did look cool. You learn that the dean of the Maib, of the High Dean, is a Minotaur named Arcturus Bilal. Arcturus Bilal holds the title of High Mudaris, Mudaris, which just means he's basically the head dean of the school. And so you get his name, and you learn kind of a fun fact that he has an obsession with iced cream treats.
Who doesn't? I mean,
Well,
iced cream in this world, it's known as ice cream.
I mean, and really, who isn't?
it's a fanciful treat created with magic, and and High Mudaris Bilal has a weak spot for it.
It's made with
Auroch. It's made with uric acid.
It gives you a little bit of a boost.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the intelligence that your 2-hour lecture from a shut-in academic earns you.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else tonight, or just getting some sleep? Okay.
After
This guy's the worst. All right, we're heading then into day 2. So on day 2, Alex, why don't you roll the luck check this time? Are you once again keeping an eye out, or have you given up?
I'm no longer exhausted either.
Oh, great.
I'm going to throw that out there.
Air drank too
much. Okay, so Air's not helping today. All right, so Freya, make a perception check for me, and Alex, give me a luck roll.
The luck roll is just a
D20.
Oh, okay.
17. Nice.
Yeah, nice.
Excellent.
Solid.
15.
15.
Also solid.
Okay, yeah.
We should sleep it off more often.
Yeah. So luckily the storm passes in the night, and with clear skies in the morning, the caravan tent is quickly broken down. All of the supplies are confirmed, strapped down, and you roll out. And the hot summer sun comes out fairly quickly and bakes the road dry. And so you're able to make good time. You do pass a few other travelers on the road, mostly in small groups of 2s and 3s. You wind your way through a few villages, and just to give you some sort of broad context, you are start back on this map. You are making your way due north right now from Nantong, so as to avoid the wound. But there are times here on day 2 where you can, at a distance, like when you mount a significant hill or rise, you can see on the horizon the place where the vegetation sort of starkly ends, and some of the gray wasteland of the wound is visible even from here. And I think it's probably at some of those moments where you catch Pando kind of pausing and staring for a while, and maybe she has to be kind of jostled back into the group. It's far enough away that it's the closest you get is probably still a good full day travel on your crickets to reach the edge of the wound from the road, but it is close enough to see at times, for sure. So like I said, you make good time. You are not interrupted by anything untoward. The caravan guards seem relaxed but vigilant. There's not a lot of chatter from them. They're not like gossipy, but they do have conversations with you here and there and chat with the drivers and things like that. And they're largely friendly but professional. They're here doing a job. Anything during the day that crosses your mind? You don't spot anything, any sign of trouble or anything like that?
I guess not. I mean, I would like to have an opportunity to talk to the guards when she has a chance.
Okay, yeah. I mean, you've got lots of chances. You're traveling for close to 10 hours today.
Right, yeah. She would like to wait until they're or they have.
Sure. Yeah, so I think there's during the course of this 10-hour travel day, I think you probably take 2 pretty good breaks. So like a late morning break and then like a delayed lunch kind of a deal. And in each one of these breaks, the guards take a shift of rest, where 3 of them eat while the other 3 are keeping an eye out. And so you've got some time on either of those breaks that you could chat some people up. Who are you approaching?
The captain.
Okay.
No, actually. Wait, is there like a second command?
Make an insight check.
Sure.
Unless you want to just straight up ask.
No,
That's fine too.
I'm trying to sniff it out.
Okay.
Who seems like the same. I wasted my nat 20 9.
Hard to tell.
Okay.
They all report to the captain.
I look at the most junior. I look at who looks to be the most junior.
Okay. Yeah, there's
Youngest one, yeah. Roughly.
Your best guess is that the youngest, or at least the one who seems the least assured and looks like they're doing the
shiniest armor.
Yeah, and they're the other members of the sort of common group of guards are like ordering this person around from time to time. They're like, tie down that strap, or, go grab me a haunch of mutton, or something, whatever.
Move the water over there, and I'll take that water,
put it back over there. That's the wrong place for the water. It's a youngish tabaxi, actually, and it's one of the archers, one of the crossbowmen. It's a sort of not fully black-furred tabaxi, but midnight black, except for a white patch around the eye and a white tip on the tail, and one of the paws is white. Yeah, and his name is Lex.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Introduces herself.
Okay.
And also casually asks, "So have you been doing this a lot? Is this a common thing for you to do, Marana, as a caravan guardian?"
Well, I've been with the company for some time, but it's my first time on caravan duty for Marana. Marana doesn't allow rookies, so it's not my first caravan run. But first time on any job, they treat you like a rookie.
Right. Any crazy stories from the road? I'm sure you guys all run into some pretty insane situations out there, guarding caravans full of valuable items and sometimes people.
Yeah, I mean, sure. There's always some kind of surprise, even on the boring trips. It's part of what pulled me away from the village and into this line of work. Just not the kind of cat that can sit still every day. Sleeping in the same place just never worked for me. I got to roam, and yeah. So we've had our share. We've had our share of tight spots and interesting people. Why? Just last year we were escorting some muckety muck from the capital, heading
Vega.
as like a Tyrian something. No, some muckety muck from the capital didn't come out of his carriage the entire trip. I mean, I'm talking about 14 days. Didn't leave the carriage once. We were taking bets. We were staying up shifts, keeping an eye on that door. Didn't come out to use the bathroom. Didn't come out to eat. Just his guards just brought food in, and well, I mean, brought buckets out. But we didn't even catch a whiff of this cat. And man, it was weird. And come to find out, at the end of all this, he's the governor of Nantong now. So I guess he was a big deal. But boy, he wasn't gonna. He was not touching wilderness. We had a good laugh about that one, I'll tell you. Yeah, that was weird. And then then there was the time we were up in the mountains north of here a little ways. There's a small mountain. I don't know if you've been, strike me as being from around here. You're a drow. Half drow. I would mean to make assumptions. Yeah. But
I'm sorry. What do you think? Wait, what do you think I am?
some kind of a sunburned elf. I don't know. Look, moonburned elf.
Do you think I'm a half drow? I just want to get that clear.
I don't know, man. Look, all of you non-fuzzies look the same to me. So, anyway, so there we were, up in the mountains north of here, and this was just a courier run. There was no escort. It was just three of us running messages and a couple packages across the range. But we bedded down for the night in what looked like a comfy cave, and out of nowhere, these things fall from the ceiling on us and start chewing on us. One of my guys, they got him. They wrapped him up in these sort of wiggly tentacles. He couldn't move. We're chopping, but we all had our own problems. And yeah, he didn't make it. But if you ever, let me tell you, you ever bed down in a random cave in the mountains, look up real carefully, because you think it's a stalactite or a stalagmite, or I forget which is which. I can never remember. The ones on the ceiling, man, there's some critters up there with good camouflage. I'll tell you, you better be careful. So yeah, it gets crazy.
Did you ever get a good look at it?
Yeah. After we finally hacked them up a little, we got out of there. We had to, like I said, we lost a good guy in there, but
Still owes me money.
yeah. But yeah, it was the damnedest thing. I mean, their skin looked like rock, and they had these long, skinny tentacles flailing out of the bottom, and these little mouths, like little circle mouths full of teeth. Yeah, I didn't like them. I didn't like it. I still get nightmares about them every once in a while. You know, they just fall from the ceiling. Just saying, just a public service message, right? Like, look up. You know.
And what firm are you part of again?
Oh, we're part of Finian's company.
Finian's company.
Yeah.
Is Finian still with us?
Oh yeah, Lord Finian. Yeah, he's a great man. Great man.
And you guys are based out of
Well,
apologies if you sound like-
sure.
I'm not from here.
Yeah. No, I can tell. Well, we get around. Finian's company operates all across the mainland, but HQ is up north of the mountains in city
Okay.
up there.
You guys ever made it to the? You guys ever
Yeah.
made it to the capital?
Oh no, we don't get
No.
out
Just-
to the
just
islands.
mainland.
Yeah. Well, listen. Since the war ended, or I guess paused, there's not much call for professional soldiers on the islands. The emperor's got all those blades. You know, he's pretty set. So we do a good business out here, and you won't find a more professional troop than Finian's company. And it's a good line of work. You know, I get 3 squares. There's a good insurance policy.
Good life for pencil.
I don't know about all that, but you know, if I don't make it, my family is taken care of.
That's good.
And
What's the referral bonus like?
like recruiting, you got to talk to HR about that. I don't know. But you know, the
Oh,
pay.
I was just thought you might be trying to feed us some lines to get us to join up.
Oh no, man, you gotta go. You gotta go meet with Finian if you want to join up. We're 250 strong, but not a single soldier in Finian's troop or in Finian's company is a part of this group without meeting the man himself face to face. He wants to look you in the eye. You know, so if that's for you, you gotta
City.
head up north to
City.
to that city that the name of which I have now said multiple times. That's where you gotta get up there.
Excellent.
Yep.
Yeah. So what did they? Oh, sorry. I have one last question. What did they tell you? Because it's your first time doing Marana's caravan run. Did any of your colleagues tell you anything about what to expect, or any quirks about Marana or the work? It's not one thing.
Oh,
Us we talk about clients.
well, sure. I mean, this Marana guy, like, he's big time successful, right? Like, he must be making plenty of money on these shipments because he pays for the good insurance. He pays for the premium package. You know, not every client. Some clients they don't pay for the crossbows. We got, and he chips in for the crossbows, and you know, he pays for the guarantee, which is why you got the captain here, right? The captain always delivers. He always brings it home. But you got to pay extra for the cat. It's 10% extra just to have the captain here. And Marana never skimps. That's what I hear. He doesn't cut corners. He doesn't skimp.
What's going up? What's being transported?
Well, you know, I couldn't say that as my first run, but But what they say is he doesn't skimp. You know, he pays the full rate. If he was going to Hertz rental car, he would take the premium coverage, right? Yeah, he would get, and he would prepay the gas. You know, he'd go for the upgrade. He's that kind of guy. Like, yeah, just give it all to me, is what he says. He's like Hertz Gold, President's Circle. Yeah, that's how his guy rolls.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Frustrated there again. We choose their corner.
I mean, you're learning fun stuff.
I guess.
We learned there's a
But,
city
yeah,
a city
we now
north
know
of
to
the
look up.
mountains. Don't forget to look up. You got some valuable information. Finian. Yeah, Lord Finian. Yeah, I know what the name of the city is now. It's called 10th Circle.
10th Circle.
That's the name of the city.
You know what? That's the least weird name.
Yep. North of the mountain range, there's a city called 10th Circle, and that's where Finian's company is headquartered.
Well, of course, he said it multiple times.
He's a you
have to tell us.
you definitely know because he said it a bunch. Mm-hmm.
Ask the mountain.
Definitely seemed like a recruiting tool.
I will.
Didn't it? I mean,
I will say
he told us where they were located multiple times.
Yeah. I will say that Freya knows. Freya's heard of 10th Circle. A 10th Circle is a pretty significant sized city, not as big as Nantong, but you know it's located in the human settlements. So okay. You have not. Yeah, you've not yet really explored this vassal clan, but the fourth vassal clan conquered by the elves on the mainland as a group of humans, nomadic humans, that are sort of casually referred to as Grifflords. So the Grifflord clans are formally they are a human nation, a nomadic human nation called the Fornal Tem. And the Fornal Tem fought for a long time against the Empire until finally the members of the Fornal Tem would say they were not defeated, but that they eventually agreed to an alliance. The Dawn Emperor would probably frame it differently. But in the end, rather than being completely defeated, the Dawn Emperor made a bargain with the Grifflords because they train griffins. Those are their mounts. And so the huge advantage that the Elden Empire had in the war was their air power, which was trained griffin cavalry. It is unclear in the historical records what the king of men, the king of the Fornal Tem, received in exchange. And the only other thing you know is that there are 12 Grifflords. There are 12 lords that rule the sort of smaller enclaves, all of whom each report up into the king. Anyway, so the 10th Circle is one of the, it's really the only truly settled city in the human settlements, because again they're largely nomadic. So the empire kind of set up this city so that the elves who didn't want to like travel all around the grasslands would have a place to operate. Yep. So they built a city in the middle of this nomadic territory. Mm-hmm. Oh, no. Independent contractor. Mhm. Businessman. That's right. Yeah, he wrote a great treatise. You should read it sometimes, called "The Artifice of the Deal."
Oh,
It's really, it's exquisite. The man's a genius.
heard-
He's a very stable genius. That Finian. Yeah.
I heard that was written by a ghostwriter.
I don't believe in ghosts. I've never seen one.
I
I've
was
never.
gonna say Atlas Side.
Atlas Side. Atlas Wept. It's really good. Yeah. All right. So now you know that. Are we ready for day 3 of travel? Okay. Then wait.
We had so we made it down the building.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a combat heavy campaign. I will say that. That's not gonna last. Yeah, poor guy. Well, when do I get to pilot a monster again? Okay. Fun fact: Upedo clock is at 9 days.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Mhm. Uh, Pando too. I'm gonna have Thomas roll the luck die this
Better roll.
time. Who's gonna keep an eye out?
Oh, I will. Yeah, I've got lots to think about.
7.
Oh,
Okay.
that's perception check.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. No, I am thinking of stuff. I got a 10.
All right. Fair enough. So the weather is a little gloomy today, but not in a way that causes you any real problems. What does slow the group down just a little bit is you hit a stretch where the caravans are passing through a number of small villages and towns. And every time you pass through one of these are like sleepy little villages that don't get a lot of action, right? And so the arrival of a caravan is a big deal. Even though they're on the main road, so it's not like caravans never pass through here. This is the kind of thing where local farmers stroll out in front of the wagons and kind of force them to stop and then strike up a conversation with the wagon drivers. Yeah, like, hey, what news from the city? This kind of thing. And so there's a lot of those. You pass through 4 villages like that over the course of the day, which slows your group down. So you don't get a true full day's travel in today. However, it is more comfortable than maybe the first day was, certainly. And you are able at the end of your journey to actually stay under a roof instead of setting up a tent. You end in one of these small villages and you're able to sleep in a barn for a very small cost that I won't even make you record. You are separated from the caravan at that time because they circle up as usual, but you can dine with them. They're not like excluding you, but you decide as a group, you want to sleep under a roof. But there are no incidents on your 3rd day of travel. You just don't make it really that far. If you inquire, you find out that you have, at this point, still made less than half of the journey.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Heading into day 4, I need a luck roll and a perception check.
It's your perception check.
You got a 17 perception.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. Yeah, well, I mean, it's That's good. Good to know. All right, so you set out on this next day, and at this point, the sort of population density drops precipitously as you reach the point in your journey where the road is starting to turn a little to the west. So you're still going north, and some of the guards and wagon drivers in their conversation make it clear that you are about to pass as close to the wound as you will get from the road. It's still far enough away that you're talking about a half day journey probably to reach the wound itself. But this is the one point in the journey where for the very first time you hear any kind of nerves, maybe a little bit, from the wagon drivers. The guards don't seem concerned, but they're certainly alert and paying attention. And you make okay time. You're not slowed by anything in particular. And Air, you are keeping a close eye out, and at a certain point, late in the day, the sun is lower in the sky, and so as you're looking west towards the wound, it's sort of in your eyes. But you do pick out a few sort of points in the sky on the horizon. There's something flying out there to the west, and from where you're sitting, and because the sun is behind it, it's really hard for you to tell from this distance if they're like what size they are, how far away they are. But you see 3, maybe 4. It's hard to tell moving objects in the sky out towards the west in the direction of the wound.
Can I ask, are they moving? Do they appear to be roughly in the same location at the time, or are they moving laterally in that perception?
You can tell they're moving, but they seem to be staying in an area.
Are they tightly clustered, or do they separate?
They're fairly tightly clustered. So it's not like one is ranging wide out and then coming back. Yeah, it's really hard to tell from this distance. Yeah.
Well, I inform the captain.
Okay.
That's my duty.
Good. Immediately, the captain calls up to one of the crossbowmen, who, not Lex, the other one, nameless, Tex. Who? Yeah, he's this is a human who who's named Tex, who wears a 10-gallon hat. He's from the 10th Circle. He pulls from his belt a small wooden tube, and then extends it and looks through the end of it, and equips a spyglass to look out into the distance at these dots. And he calls down to the captain. Hard to say, Captain, but they look like threats. Not approaching as of now, so perhaps we haven't been noticed, but worth keeping an eye out. Good to have that heads up. Gives you a nod. 10-gallon hat tipped in your direction. The tricorn, yeah. Nice.
Jaunty, nonetheless.
The jaunty cap. Yeah. The captain calls out an update to the wagon drivers and says, why don't we pick up the pace a bit? Trevor, get back here and keep the dust down. And one of the armored guards falls back near the back of the wagon train and pulls out a couple of water skins and proceeds to start sort of spraying them into the air. In a way, he's sort of got a tip on one of them that's spraying sort of a mist in the air. So he's sort of creating like a very simple mister that is knocking down some of the dust coming off the back of the horses and or off of the back of the oxen and wagons. So that is essentially minimizing the amount of clouds of dust that are rising up in the back. It's not perfect, but as the wagon train picks up its pace a little bit faster than you've seen it move this entire journey, it doesn't seem to be making a great deal of additional visible dust trail. Katie, roll a d20 for me, please. Okay.
That's somewhat average.
And this is one of those rolls I mean, depending on what you wanted tonight's session to be, you may or may not have wanted that to be a high roll because you were rolling a perception check for the creatures. You travel for the remainder of the day, and they do not seem to have noticed you. And so it is as the sun fully sets back behind the wound that the captain seems to relax a little bit, and the level of tension falls away as you proceed. You make camp, and the captain sort of jovially announces that you've reached the halfway point of your journey. And in celebration, he cracks a single keg of ale that they have brought with them and allows everyone to have a single cup. Or at least the guards are allowed to each have a single cup of ale. And everybody else can do whatever the hell they want because he's not in charge of you.
Proust.
Yeah. Very good. All right, heading into the next day, your Upedo clock is at 11. And
I know, I feel like we're just stuck here on this carriage. It just keeps ticking away.
the slow, inevitable march of time. Anyway, moving. You guys chose slow and safe. There's nothing wrong with that.
We enter this the same way. Start bringing up all the nihilistic.
All right, somebody make a luck roll for me.
I'll do a luck roll this time.
Okay.
Ooh, 5.
Well, the
So
weather,
you know it's coming.
yeah, the weather turns again on you, and while it's not a thunderstorm this time, it's a windstorm, and it actually whips up the dust of the trail, and a lot of dust seems to be blowing out from the wound in your direction. So it's not quite a sandstorm, but sort of a nasty dust storm blows in from that direction, and it slows your pace significantly. Now, Freya, you've traveled long distances out on the tundra. You've marched through miles through snowstorms and blizzards and whatnot. So you're able to keep a pretty good eye out for any trouble, and none reveals itself. You are, thankfully, because of that good roll, able to prevent the group at one point from actually leaving the road itself by accident, because you're in a stretch now where the road is surrounded on both sides by pretty significant stretches of sort of dry grassland, and so it's hard to know exactly where the road is when the visibility drops as much as it did. It's very unpleasant. It is a difficult day, and I would say you all notice that this dust storm, Pando especially, I think, feels this, but all of you notice it. You're just a little unsettled by this, and Pando feels it particularly deeply. it's like there's like a taste on the back of your throat, like like bacon grease that's gone rancid, and it just sort of sticks there. And yet at the same time, your throat is really dry, and all of you kind of pick up a dry cough as the day goes on. It just doesn't feel right.
Is there? I was gonna ask this after you had said that the dust seemed to be coming from the wound. Is there anything that I sort of pick up from, like, any sort of information that I can gather from the wound itself, like
Like that big brain.
yeah.
What if I rub my big brain
do
on it?
this? Is there something that I noticed coming out of the wound? Some sort of
Well, here's what I'll say.
energy.
Yeah, you've got an alchemical kit, right? I would say, as you're trundling along, or even at camp tonight, you've got a bunch of this dust. You could poke and prod at it and experiment with it, and
That's exactly what I want to do.
try to discover some stuff. So, why don't you roll an intelligence check for me as you experiment?
I got the alchemical kit because during the day I did the right tool for the right job and took an hour to gather my alchemical supplies.
Sounds good.
It's important that I say that because I don't actually physically have an alchemical
All right,
kit.
you magically produce it. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yes, I'm going to run some this dust through its paces. Intelligence check, you said?
Yeah. And if
just a straight intelligence check?
Well, with the kit, you get to add your proficiency bonus.
Oh, yeah. So, this, Alex, a 13.
13.
That's
okay.
Not how big brains are supposed to work.
Well, you may be just limited by your equipment. So,
yeah.
Here's what I'll say. Chemically, this dust is pretty normal, or I guess I'll just say it's not chemically. It's not giving you anything that makes you think, "Oh, this is some wacky dust," or "This doesn't belong here." It's just off the shelf dust. But you definitely pick up that there is something different. You don't have the right tools to test for it here, but you're pretty sure that if you had access to the kind of lab you're accustomed to working with, if you had access to the kind of lab where you actually build your devices, where you have the ability to particularly to measure and test different kinds of energy, magical energy, that you would detect something here. Chemically, it's not different, but you run enough tests to know that.
That's my next question: is can I run it through an Arcana check? Or test it for magical abilities.
Do you have the ability to create some kind of tools to do that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. What kind of tools would I need to test it? I can create any specialty tools as long as I have an hour to do it.
Okay. All right. Well, then, here's the trade-off. You can either wait. I'll say you can either wait and do this tomorrow, when you've got time to rest, or you can give up a night of rest to keep digging into this tonight.
I'll do it tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. So over the course of your journey, as you've now sort of become accustomed to, Kimba's voice is stronger or dimmer at different times. He seems more or less present at different times. But in the moments where it feels like you've got sort of a clear line to him, you ask a little bit about this, and you get very unsatisfying answers. Uh, he doesn't seem to know anything about the wound or about what you're experiencing specifically. But during the day of the dust storm, he does seem deeply unsettled. And this is where the comment that you got from him before about a dark force haunting your path, this is the first time he repeats that phrase to you rather directly. And there's an extra piece of that statement that he shares this time around. And it's sort of at the tail end of the dust storm. He says, there's a dark force haunting her path. It is so close, and yet I cannot see. We must protect. We must avoid. Dark force. It haunts. It haunts. It hunts. It haunts. Yeah, so he's not super lucid. The other times where he is with it, he's back to this "we got to go north" kind of a vibe. And while he accepts that you've made a commitment and that you've got things to do, he just pretty much every day he finds some opportunity to remind you of the greater glory and the duty that lies after. And he's willing to be patient, but don't forget your duty, daughter of my blood. There's a lot of that every day. All right, we're heading into our next day of travel, so I need another roll. All right, luck roll from Katie.
14 perception.
Okay.
So is this day 5? Day 6, day 5?
This is
5.
6. Yes, because we're on 12 on the Upido clock. Yeah. No, 6. This is you're in the midst of travel on day 6 now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because you left a full day after. Yes. It was day 5 when we wrapped our last session. And then you spent day 6 sitting around waiting for the caravan. And you got on the road on day 7. So you've been on the road for 5 days. Yeah. So it's day 12 on the Upido clock. Okay. With a 9, your travel is very normal today. The dust storm has cleared. The skies are slightly overcast. You move into an area that is not heavily forested, but lightly forested. This is not a very settled region. You're starting to get out into the boonies, one might say. And you now also can see, for the first time, off in the distance to the north, a long ways off to the distance to the north, a mountain range that was referenced earlier. Some of the peaks of which must be very, very high to be seen from this distance. And the road is now turning very substantially towards the west. So you're almost barely heading north anymore. You've sort of made it around the corner of the wound at this point and are headed, according to the captain, heading directly for the college. Yeah, this is an uneventful day of travel. So Alex, or I should say Potom, you can create the other equipment that you need and run your tests.
Perfect.
So give me an intelligence check.
Big brain.
Oh, an intelligence check or a Arcana check?
Oh, Arcana, sorry.
Well,
Still
that's
still intelligence.
just as good. I got a 13 on that one. Keep on rolling these goddamn 4s.
Yeah, that's rough. So with a 13, thank you. While you're not able to discover any deep secrets about this, it is very clear to you that this dust is magically charged. So in the real world, we would describe this as this dust is radioactive. It is like a Geiger counter would be clicking. It does seem like that has fallen off a fair bit since yesterday. So whatever this is, it's fading. And the only other thing I can tell you is that this the school of magic or the magical energy is necromantic in nature.
Oh, dead dust.
Dead bacon.
Mm-hmm. Boys.
That's probably why we feel so uneasy.
Seems likely. Friends, let's take a quick pause here if you're cool with it. We're back. I don't know why my screen sharing is paused. What does that mean? Try it again. Now we got Big Alex.
Hey, hello.
The whole table.
Pull my hair.
There we go. Good giant cat.
Where is my Clark? Oh, you're right there. Come here.
All right, you have you were told by the captain that he thinks there's one more day of travel, barring some kind of problem, before you arrive at the college town. Who's going to roll for our next day?
I'll perception check it.
All right.
Yeah. Eagle-eyed. I'm in. I heard that we're almost there, so I've kind of come out of my sleepy days.
Oh, God.
Let's do a third 5 on this journey.
Loaded die.
Mm-hmm. What was the perception check?
24.
Oh wow. Okay. I'm gonna call these offsetting, I think, because what I was thinking for the 5 is that a massive fog bank rolls in and takes visibility down to almost 0.
Sure.
But I think Potom leverages his Steel Defender and some other tools of the trade to help kind of pierce the fog and keep the wagon train on the road and moving at a reasonable pace. So,
you see, he's got a heating element which warms the air in front, causing the fog to fall like rain. I like to call it window vision.
The wagon driver that you're lecturing to is duly impressed and also
very wet.
very wet, yeah. And so after a day of damp and uncomfortable travel, you complete your safe and slow journey and find yourself riding in out of the fog into what appears to be a bustling, small, and very pretty, essentially college town. So have any of you ever been to Cedar Rapids, Iowa? Okay. So my cousin Chris went to school at a college, Cornell College, not Cornell University, Cornell College in Iowa. Exactly right. And Cornell College is a pretty campus. It has some of the brick ivy covered buildings that you would be accustomed to see, like a little clock tower, all that kind of stuff. And it is situated all by itself on a hill in the middle of miles and miles of cornfields. And so it looks like it was built for a drone photo op to put on the cover of a recruitment. Yeah. And that's not quite what you get here because you're riding in the midst of a huge fog bank. But the other thing about Cedar Rapids, Iowa is the town is the campus and the campus is the town, right?
Right.
The only things that exist in that town exist there to serve the campus. So there's 3 bars, and guess what? They're all college bars. And there's a couple of restaurants, and they cater to college kids. And there's a grocery store that's pretty much for the college kids. And then there's houses for people who work at those businesses, and that's basically what you got. This is that, but a little more evolved because number one, it's been here for 200 years. And number two, the town has also evolved to support visitors from across Tellus, because this is a famous university. This is a Harvard or a Yale or an Oxford. Yeah. So like, people go to Oxford just to see Oxford, right? And this is like that. You have folks who come in from all different parts of the world to visit with professors or to give a lecture. But you also have parents coming to visit their students who are studying here. You have prospective students coming to check out the campus to see if they can get accepted. You have researchers coming here to talk to brilliant thinkers. So what I'm saying is there's inns that are range from like mid-price to very fancy. There's a number of restaurants and things like that. It's not a tiny town, but it's a small town, but it is an upscale town relative to a lot of what you've passed through. This is not a rural town. It is a town that serves the academic elite of the world. Yeah, a lot of influence, a lot of yeah, and then sitting in the middle of it is the campus, and the campus is beautiful. Minotaur architecture is world renowned. The Minotaurs are known for their engineering prowess, and so their grasp of architecture does not rely on magic the way that Elven architecture does, right? Elven palaces and buildings, and if you ever go to the Capitol, like you will see spectacular buildings, but those buildings have been grown, not built. Right? They have been shaped with magic. So you might see beautiful fluted towers that look like you can't imagine how they could support themselves, but wizards did that, right? Minotaur architecture is amazing and impressive because it is the most modern architecture you will find in Tellus. It is based on sound engineering principles, and it appears to do things that would seem magical, but really they just invented the flying buttress or whatever, right?
Oh, so is it Gothic looking? Or?
Yeah, so a lot of these buildings are like that. Like there is, though they are not religious, right? We would associate something like this with religion, but you see things that look like Gothic cathedrals. Yeah, probably the decor is a little more utilitarian on most of the class buildings, but the central structure, which does include a clock tower, that seems to be a gathering hall of some sort. The central hall is ornate, to the extent that it even has a stained glass window, like a rose window. I'm not picturing exactly um, the it's not exactly Notre Dame, but it is. But that's the vibe, right? It is a big Gothic construct, and it's beautiful and elaborate. A lot of the buildings where people would attend classes or do research um, are cool, but they're not uh, decorated in quite the same way. Right? Anyway, as you come into town, you get a quick idea of the scope of things, and you've now traveled a fair amount, all of you. This is, you would guess that all told, population wise, this is probably smaller than Chukip, if you include the campus. But it is well developed, we'll say that. This is also the first time outside of the noble district in Chukip where you see the magically powered streetlights and some of the quote unquote modern conveniences and modern technology that you are accustomed to back on the islands. Yeah, there are sewer grates in the streets. They are paved and precisely engineered. Yeah, it looks like the noble quarter in Chukip. Oh yeah.
Student union.
I mean, I think the captain
Student union.
that were in the student union. I think so. At this point, the caravan sort of veers off. So unless you're going to track them, they are headed.
Yeah, where are you going?
They're headed to one of the side buildings, one of the off buildings on campus. You're not sure what that building is. But if you want to kind of investigate the town a little bit, you can definitely do that. You can find yourself a place to stay. You are entering town late afternoon, early evening, so probably would be the time to find a place to post up for the night, unless you're gonna head straight to business in some way. Yeah, I like it. So there's a spectrum of places to stay here, ranging from what I would describe as mid-priced to very nice.
We want to go to a place, family, a middle class family of four would go to.
Okay.
You know, on a family vacation. Or visit college. Oh, sure, yeah. Their daughter, yeah.
All right, very good.
Yeah, that vibe. Price bracket.
All right, you find a place. It is called the Monarch at Rest, and the Monarch at Rest is it's on the edge of town. It has a pretty view of the woods, of the wooded area outside of the city or of the town, but it's just enough on the edge of town to be mildly inconvenient. Like if you want to get to the central campus meeting hall, you're going to walk for 20 minutes to get there, or have to have some kind of transportation, like a cricket perhaps. But they certainly have a stables for your cricket. They are well staffed. They take good care of you. It is certainly nicer than the Blasted Seagull or wherever you just were. Yeah, definitely an upgrade from that place. The rooms rent for 1 gold piece per night per person, and include board for your cricket, or include lodging for your lodging. I don't know. What do you call it? Stabling for your crickets, and food. Drinks are extra. So if you're going to all post up for a night, somebody needs to shell out 4 gold pieces. Pando's happy to pay. Yeah, she is pleased to do so.
Ever do this
Very good. Okay. So you settle in, and the proprietor is happy to tell you about a place in town that offers iced creams. And it is conveniently located on campus. She's a halfling, by the way, a rather stout and round halfling woman. Her name is Tina.
Okay.
Yep.
Tina the halfling.
And Tina is happy to also answer any questions. She loves welcoming newcomers to the town. The town, by the way, refers to itself by the name of the school. So this is all the Maib Sahid.
Sure. We want to ask her where the research library is located and research staff. We are very interested in seeing there. We know it's renowned for its facilities and
Oh, indeed, dearies. Here to do
collection of
some
knowledge.
research. Yes, well, you have come to the right place. The Maib is renowned around the world for its deep archives, and I don't doubt you'll find just what you need here. We're very proud of our. You had the look of researchers about you when you came in. Well, some of you. Uh, so pleased to have you. Yes. Well, I should tell you that while the publicly accessible library of the Maib is open to all, for the deep archives to truly dig, you will need the approval of the dean.
Right.
And so, what many visitors like yourself do is make an appointment on arrival to speak with him and inquire his permission to access the deep archives.
Is this the same place where we would possibly make an appointment with a specific professor or a faculty of the college?
No. If you were looking to meet with faculty, each school within the college manages its own affairs. The dean, of course, sorry, the High Mudaris, Bilal has his own secretary, and he can be a rather hard down, I'm told. So you definitely would want to deal with her first. If you're looking to deal with individual faculty, you'll need to visit the individual school, and each school resides in its own building. Who are you looking to connect with, may I ask?
Professor Sendek? Professor Omar Sendek?
You see a very slight. Well, who has a high passive perception? Does anybody have a high passive perception?
I believe I do.
Mine is 10.
Or passive insight. What's her passive? 18 is good. Anybody have a high?
I also have 14. Oh yeah, Pando is also high in both of those.
So I think Pando notices this, and maybe passes it along to all of you. But when you mention Professor Sendak's name, she blushes just slightly. Yeah, and she says, "Oh, Omar. Well, the School of Divinity can be found in the tallest of the buildings, apart from the celebration hall, of course. Uh, you will recognize it immediately because of its fluted columns in the front and the slit windows all along the side. It's the nearest of the buildings to our establishment here, a short walk. I will also mention that you will not infrequently see Omar here in our establishment. He has been.
Oh, what luck!
Yes, well, he has a certain fondness for my potato dumplings.
I bet he. If we were to look, if we were looking for an advantage to catch Professor Sendek's attention, how best would we do that? Buy him some potato dumplings?
Well,
Can we bring some to him?
oh, they don't travel well, dearie. No, they're only good fresh and hot out of the kitchen.
Oh.
I bet.
There's so much dumpling innuendo in this episode. She says, well, if I'm being totally honest, Omar can be a bit of a grump at times. He's a man you want to catch at the right moment. You strike up a conversation with Omar when he's already smiling, maybe his mouth full of dumplings. It tends to go quite.
That seems inappropriate.
It tends to go quite well. If you catch him when he's in a stormy mood, in my experience, it's best to just keep walking by.
Oh, we don't have that sort of time. Okay.
Well, anyway, dearies, I'll get some food sent out to your table. If there's anything else I can help you with or tell you about our lovely little town here, you be sure to let me know. Your rooms are nearly ready, and I'll send over young Peter with the keys soon to bring you up.
Yeah, get those dumplings.
Now everybody's got dumplings on the mind.
Before we leave, do you expect Professor Sendek this evening?
I doubt it. He was in last night. He doesn't usually make a run of it.
Okay.
You can overdose it. You have too many dumplings.
Yeah, you can't have too many dumplings. Yeah.
He was sampling other dumplings this evening.
Whoa.
Really pushing it now.
All right. Well, why don't we wind it down here? I think this is a good place to pause. Y'all have made your journey safely and successfully to the Maib Sahir. You have a lay of the land. You've got a home base and a place to start from.
Got a lead.
And just as a fun update, your Upedo clock is at 14.
Don't know what that means.
Huh? Fun thing is, it's a milestone on my timeline. And so when we pick up next time, it will be morning in a college town, and you will have a chance to explore a little bit and meet some folks, and hopefully do better research than you did back in Nantucket.